Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Rewatch podcast. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Tracy. How are we today?
Well, we're hanging in there. We're still getting over the Christmas of sickness, but we're all surviving. We're getting through it. So
Excellent, excellent,
we're gonna
excellent.
be very happy to start the new year a little healthier. That would be nice. That's my New Year's resolution, in addition to my other ones. Will to stay healthy because this was not fun. Being sick was not fun. So I'm over it.
Okay.
I'm over it. I'm past it. I want to move on and get on with my life. So,
Sounds like a good plan.
yeah.
Sounds like a good plan.
So what is your caffeinated beverage today?
Well, today my caffeinated beverage is a cappuccino, a homemade cappuccino,
Oh, but
because I have a friend visiting and they have, well, I should say I'm visiting a friend and they have a cappuccino machine.
mm-hmm.
One of these fancy dancy ones.
Oh, nice. It's
So
nice. Feel a little extra special this morning.
I do feel a little extra special. So it kind of, warms my cockles, as they say in the
Nice.
UK. And so I got it to go, and I get to sit and chit chat about our favorite show now that I have a fully warm cappuccino. I love it.
Nice. I decided to go with a iced because I should have probably
Oh,
gotten something hot because I got an iced gingerbread latte.
oh, look at you going all holiday still.
Well, I'm here for it.
All right. Well, whatever floats your boat, girlfriend.
Exactly. All right, let's get started.
Okay, we're on season 3, episode 8, Life and Death. Mm-mm-mm.
Life and death has many meanings. Some that we
Yeah,
won't realize until later. Some we will realize now. But
yeah.
all right. The description says, heartbroken because Jack broke up with her.
Oh Lord.
What was he thinking? And we've already discussed how we feel about it, so we're just going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
A heartbroken Mel heads to LA to support Joey at her divorce hearing. More of Jack's memories return, so maybe he's going to figure out what's going on with the shooting. And Lily asks her friends to care for her children. Okay. So it starts off with a memory of Jack trying to recall what it's sort of a nightmare because he's asleep at the remember he got kicked out and he didn't really have anywhere to go, and I think Bree is still staying upstairs or she's with Brady, we don't really know. But I think he didn't want to intrude, and so he slept on the couch in his office and he had a nightmare, and it's him fighting with somebody in the bar and sort of the memories coming back, and he sort of saw Brady and a gunshot, he heard a gunshot, and he woke up. That is where we start out. So much for scenery, huh, Gigi, on this one?
I'm telling you. Well, the thing about it is the night bears in patches.
Yeah.
So we as the viewers think it's Brady because Brady's face keeps showing up.
Well, Brady
Um,
was there. I mean, he did
right.
legitimately, he was there. We just don't know what part he played in this whole scenario, and Jack is still trying to piece it together. He wakes up, freaked out, as nightmares will do that to you, and now he's trying to piece together what he dreamed. Like, is it real? Was I dreaming? I don't. And now we have our scenery shot. See, they can't.
Beautiful.
They can't let us down. They can't let us down. I mean, how can you not? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like the scenery, and I've said this before, is a character.
Yeah.
I feel like the town, the environment is as much of a character as each of the characters.
Yeah.
And I know that
I agree.
the cast have actually said that as well, that they feel like just being there is its own
Mhm.
part of the show. Like it wouldn't be the show without it being in this location.
Right.
So we agree.
We agree.
Okay, so Jack is taking out the trash as he does as a bar owner, and Bree walks up behind him, and they did not have a good. They did not have good words last time they spoke. Remember
Yep.
the whole argument with Brady, and Jack did not know that they were secretly hooking up.
Mm.
And that was not something, especially finding out now that he may have been the one to shoot him. I mean, deep down, he thinks he probably didn't, but you
Yeah.
know,
Well, It's also Big Brother instincts kicking
Oh,
in, you know.
so
You know,
many layers to this.
yeah, because he in his mind, Brady is a bad apple,
Hmm.
and last thing he needs is this baby sister getting hooked up with this idiot. So
Well,
as
nobody's
cute,
going to be enough. Nobody's going to be good enough.
yeah,
But
but
Brady
I
is
think that
definitely not even on the
yeah,
list.
and the thing is, because Brady has been up Schitt's Creek without a paddle for so long,
Yeah.
Jack is just not he's not having it.
No.
He's just
No,
having it.
that's a hard no. that's a
Yeah,
that's a hard
yeah.
no.
That's my baby sister, and do not you know
Yeah,
what with her.
do not mess with her.
Yeah. So
So she walks up and she's like, hi, I was just on a hike." And she's a little tentative cuz she doesn't she's like, "I don't know how to go about talking to him cuz he was pissed." He was so mad.
hmm
So he was like, "Oh, what trail you on?" She's like, Blue Creek." And she's trying to find some middle ground, like trying to, how do I approach him? Because I don't know if he's gonna scream at me or he's gonna like not talk to me. Like
and he was so mad. I mean,
oh, he was
so mad.
furious.
And the thing is, I think that scared her too,
Oh
because I
yeah,
think she's never seen
she
him
hasn't. I
that.
don't think she's ever seen him like that. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's. That's why I said that was the first time we've ever, in 3.5 seasons, we've never seen him yell like that.
Mm,
He's never been that mad before.
yeah.
Not even in his Marine days.
Mm,
I don't think even in the Marines they showed any scenes him acting like that. It was always like in charge, but not mad.
well, it's nothing like family to bring out the worst in you.
Right?
Mm.
I know. Yeah, they'll do it for you. They as
Yeah.
the saying goes, they get to push your buttons the best because they installed them. So,
That's yeah.
all right.
And they know cradle to grave, as they
Oh
say.
yeah.
So,
So he was like, "Oh yeah, nice trail." He wants to talk to her because remember now, Jack's trying with Mel, trying to learn how to approach things a little differently.
hmm
So and Mel always gets him to talk. So I think he's learning. So
hmm
he's like, "All right, I know you're not going to want to talk to me about Brady, but," and then she comes right at him. "Do you really think he shot you?" And his only memory of that night is Brady.
It's
He doesn't
Brady,
he
exactly.
doesn't recall anything else. And in his mind as of right this moment, he can't put
Yeah,
anything else together with it. So he's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, I kind of think he shot me." And she's of course the lawyer in her comes out
hmm
because that's her thing. "You remember him pulling the trigger?" And Jack's like, "No, but he was there." It's like, "Okay, get that." And then even if he didn't pull the trigger, Jack's like, "Look, he's not a good guy.
Yeah, there
Like,
comes the pure instinct.
I mean, look at what he's done, the whole pot farm and everything." And she's like, "In what way?" It's like, "Oh, dude, do I really?" And then he starts listing it. Well, for one, he worked for an illegal grower. I mean, and then it turns out that his boss was also in the fentanyl business. So, hello.
Yeah, he's batting 1 in 1,000 here, girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. And the only reason he got out
Wow.
of it is because somebody tipped him off about the raid. And she's like, wow, she did not know that.
Mm,
Now, keep in mind, he didn't tell her any of that. She knew he worked at the lumber yard
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
But and Jack had no reason to tell her that's what he was into because there was no connection with them.
Right, exactly. He didn't know they were seeing each other. That whole scene totally
Oh
blindsided
yeah.
him.
Now, she didn't know and now she's blindsided. That's like a
Uh,
slap in the face to her cuz she's like, "Oh, I sure know how to pick him." Cuz remember the last guy.
oh yeah, the moron.
And we're still figuring that out.
Yeah, we are.
Now, Jack, who has known Brady for a while, he's like, "To be fair, Brady's good at showing people what he wants them to see." Now that can't make her feel good. Like
Nope.
okay, he played you. That's basically what he said. He played you. Now, he's good at it, so he could have played everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
he still played her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Still, it's my job to read people because I'm a lawyer." And
Mm.
he apologizes for not being there for her and she's like, "Yeah, to pick my men for me?" Like, no. So I think that, and he apologizes for everything and she apologizes. And I think they've patched up the I love you too. They're there for each other. I think it's good. They're now staying in the same place. I mean, maybe she'll wind up staying in Virgin River. We'll see. But they were the closest growing up. And so it would make sense that they would be the two that would find their way back to each other, even after all these years.
Yeah.
So he just wants the best for her. And
yeah, I mean, he's a big brother who, like any big brother with a sister, who grew up, fairly close. He loves her. He doesn't want to see her get hurt.
He's going to be the protector no matter what.
Exactly. And that's Jack's instinct to begin with, to protect
everybody.
So I mean, so imagine his own sister.
Right?
So, so that's another level of protectiveness that he has there.
It's the same that he would have for Mel.
Exactly.
For sure. Absolutely. So, of course, here we go. And Bree suggests when Mel gets back from LA, how about I make us all dinner? And then he has to go, well, kind of screwed that one up. Because she said, don't screw it up, Jack. Remember they were eating pancakes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he did.
Yep.
And he's like, puts his hands in his pockets, and she's like, what? She's like, come on, my cooking's not that bad. And
now he's got
to tell her. Oh, he goes, I ended things with Mel. And she's like, why? What happened? Like, anybody who ever met them driving by would see that it's all good with them.
Yeah. Explain it now, big brother.
He's like, she wants a baby, and I don't feel I can support two families right now. And she's like, what? You're in love with her? He goes, yeah, that's why I did it. Even it's like, this is when you smack him upside the head and go get your girl. Like, what? Like, he needs voice of reason.
Yeah.
Because he clearly has lost his. Yes.
He's lost his mind, basically, is what all of us are thinking.
Right. And he's like, I don't want to hurt her. She's like, but what if you could make it work? Think about what you'd be missing out on. And he's like practically about ready to cry. He goes, that's the thing. I can't think about that. Now, this is also a scene when he gets very emotional, his accent comes out and you can hear it. You can hear it in this scene too. He's like, if I want to do right by her, I gotta be practical. I mean, the poor guy is about ready to cry. And Bree's like, Jack, relationships are built on emotions. If you go through life closed off, then you're not living.
Yeah.
And he just is like dumbfounded. And she's like, look, if you need a good example of that, think of your father. Like, shh. And he's like, I'm not being closed off. I told Mel exactly how I felt. He goes, this is tearing me up, but he's doing the right thing. She's like, I don't want you to spend your life regretting your decision. So now she's given him something to think about.
Yep.
He's going to have a few people have a little chat with him, and then it's going to make him do some serious soul searching. So now we're at Doc's, or I should say Doc and Hope's, and Muriel are having a lovely breakfast. Juice, eggs, and I guess he cooked. And she's like, oh, these eggs are delicious. She's the only thing I know how to make that doesn't involve a microwave is eggs. Nice. So they're having coffee and
everybody's got one dish.
Yeah.
Whether it's
She's like, cooking's really not that hard as long as you follow a recipe.
Oh, don't say that to my sister.
She says, my mother always said, if you can read, you can cook. Which maybe, and that's why she cooks a lot of different things.
That saying is a little bit...
It's a little deceiving.
It is, because I have a sister who's a nurse, and she can read perfectly fine. But you put a pot and a flame in front of her, and it's all over.
Is this the sister that keeps her shoes and purses in the oven?
Yes. Yeah, because she doesn't use them in the closet.
It's storage.
It's storage.
Yeah.
So that sentence is up for...
It's deceiving. It's very deceiving. You have to be able to do more than read. Sorry.
Read.
And, Doc agrees. He's like, yeah, that's never been true for me. Because obviously he's a smart man.
Exactly.
He
My
can read
sister
very
is
well. Maybe it's
You
just
know, just
medical professionals.
we're talking about two medical.
That's what I was thinking, the same thing. Maybe it's just medical people that just don't. Because Mel doesn't, you don't really see Mel cooking very often.
No, never seen Mel cook.
Right?
I mean, she's pulled things out of the refrigerator. She's
Usually it's Jack. Usually
wine.
Jack's like, go sit down. I got it.
Exactly.
Let me make this for you. I'll bring it home from the...
Anybody who's medical profession cook in the show so far?
I don't think so.
And no, we're up to season 6, and I still haven't seen anybody cook. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pay attention from the rest as we go. I'm gonna see, and if it comes up that someone does cook, let's evaluate how they did. Now, I do remember an article. It was an article, interview. I can't remember, but somebody. I don't know if it was Alex Breckenridge. It probably was her because she's usually the one that's on social media more than Martin Henderson. She made a comment, I think, about how Mel. Wouldn't it be funny if like Mel cooked and it wasn't good and he had to like it would be funny that he's like trying to eat her food.
Yeah.
And she can't cook. It's like she probably can. I mean, she's been on her own forever. So I'm assuming that she can. I think she just doesn't.
And the thing is, if I had Preacher literally down the street from me, I'm not cooking either.
He feeds all the firemen, all the medical people. He feeds them for free.
Exactly. So I'm thinking,
why would you cook?
Exactly.
Like whatever he's got on tap, let me have that. Yeah, like I'm good. Exactly. I'll find something.
And he is so particular about what he puts in his food that I know I'm not eating junk food.
No, you're eating good cooking.
I'm eating good. He's got his garden. He's got his herbs. He's got all this sort of stuff. The man is meticulous with his menu.
Yeah.
So if I've got a professional chef a couple of doors down from me, hell no, my parents will never see a stove.
Yeah. No, I agree. And everybody always eats for free. Mm-hmm. I mean, Doc eats there all the time. He said when Hope's not feeding him, he eats at the bar. He told Mariel, I eat most of my meals here.
Exactly. I ain't seeing nobody gaining any weight from Preacher's cooking.
Now, it's funny you should say that because in the books, Mel has a little chat with Preacher because I think in the books she's, I think it's after I don't remember if it's after the first baby or the second baby because in the book she has 2 kids. And actually gets pregnant with 2 kids and feels like she's gaining a little weight and very self-conscious about it. And Jack doesn't care. He loves her in every shape, way, form. Doesn't matter. She could wear a burlap sack and a bag on her head and he wouldn't care.
Nope,
but she was self-conscious. And so she actually in the books went to Preacher and said, could you please put some like a salad, could you just do something? Because everything in the books, he only made 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, and 1 dinner per day. And if you wanted it, that's what you got. Because I guess in the books, it's more of a bar and not really of a bar restaurant, like a bar and grill like it is in the show. And she was like, can you just help me out here? Because in the book, she doesn't cook.
Well, then
so
I guess
she needs help.
I guess that's our answer right there.
I guess. So there you go. All right. So Doc agrees that if you can read, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't cook. Because he's like, never been true for me because he doesn't cook.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh, I forgot the cream cheese because I guess they have bagels. And so the cell phone rings. He left it on the table. Muriel sees that it's Hope and hurries up and answers it. And it's a FaceTime call. And she's looking at her like, she's like, hi, Hope. It's breakfast. What are you doing with my man? Like, that's the look she gives her. She's like, Muriel? I'm sorry. I was trying to reach Vernon. I must have dialed wrong. She goes, oh, no, you have the right number. He's in the kitchen. I didn't want him to miss your call. She's like, oh, how noble of you. She's like, thank you. She goes, by the way, everyone is doing fine, including Lily. Uh-oh. She goes, what do you mean, including Lily? Oh, there's Hope. Hey, what's going on? She goes, okay, Vernon. because Lily said, don't tell Hope. I want to tell her in person. Do not
Mm-hmm.
tell. So now he's got to cover it up. So he was like, oh, I just invited Muriel over for breakfast as a thank you. And, she's been so helpful in the past couple of weeks. And she goes, yeah, I'll bet she has. She goes, so what does Muriel mean by even Lily? She goes, oh, let me call you back after breakfast. He goes, no, I won't be able to talk. I got to take my aunt to an appointment. He's like, okay, well, you call me when you get back because he needs time to think of a lie. He goes, love you, bye. Click. And Muriel's like, I am so sorry. I thought she knew.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, it's fine. There's no way you would have known that's the situation. And then he further explains that Lily wants to tell her in person, so no, she doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
So
I still dispute that situation, but
I know, but we could have no one could have known.
Right. And I get why Lily wants to tell her in person, but I just feel like anyway, but we know the circumstances of why the actress herself couldn't be there.
Because Annette O'Toole was taking care of her mother. So this season, she basically phoned it in.
Right.
The whole season.
Right. And so I get that. And I know they had to find a way how to incorporate that situation in her real life into the show.
Yeah.
So I get that as far as that's concerned. I just think as a viewer, if I didn't know the scope of what was going on in her life, then I would feel that way about it as such. So anyway, who knows?
Okay, so Muriel feels horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, she wants to fix it. She goes, no. He's like, it was an honest mistake. Don't even worry about it. I'll talk to Hope. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, holding his hand. Thank you for being so understanding.
Yeah.
Always trying to get in there. He goes, oh, you have such a lovely way about you. And I'm glad that we have remained friends. As they cheers their coffee. Me too.
Yes.
Now we're going to be in L.A.
And I just love this.
I know. She has the best. Like that is such an LA like.
I know it's such because look where the pool is, where all the windows are, where the balcony is. Yeah. I'm loving this place.
It's like the Hollywood Hills. I mean, if you have to pick a Hollywood Hills home, that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yes.
Anyway. It's like 2 balconies. It's like 3 stories. Mm-hmm. The top story is the one they seem to always show her on because that's the one with the glass balcony.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sure the bottom one is like garages or something. And then the house. My guess is because the Hollywood Hills, they tend to be like multi-layer because you go into the mountain to park your car, and then the second floor is actually the first level on the street. It's just the way that it's done.
Yeah, it's the way the houses have to be built in order to make the most of the space that they have.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Mel and Joey get back to her house, and Joey's like, the judge screwed me. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what am I going to do? And Mel's like, we're going to figure it out. She's like, I'm not going to be able to keep this house, the homeowner's insurance, the utility bills. She's like, she goes, oh, it's 5:00 somewhere. Let's drink. And she starts getting some alcohol out of the fridge. She's like, well, she's like, can you believe the judge? She's like, I know. It's going to be okay. She goes, yeah, that's easy for you to say. You still have a career. Because remember, Joey gave up her career to be a mom. Because her husband was like, you have a choice.
Right. He has a choice. Exactly. And I hate when men do that. I really hate why they give women that choice. Let them make the choice.
Yeah. Well, it's like he gave her the choice, but now he's sort of using it against her. Mm-hmm. And that's where the problem is. It's like, fine if you're okay with it, and you have to be okay with it forever. Don't have it come back and bite her in the ass later.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened.
Exactly.
So Joey apologizes for sounding bitchy, but it is what it is. She's upset and understandable. So Mel is just, she's just trying to be there for her. And this is when Joey, this is where it comes out. She's like, when I first got pregnant, he said we could hire a nanny and you could keep working or be a full-time mom. And now that he wants a divorce, It's exactly what she said. She's being punished for choosing her children over her career. And she's like, how
Yeah.
is that fair? And Mel's like, you're right. It's not fair. She goes, what am I supposed to tell the kids? This is the only home they've ever known. And she's like, you're just
Mm.
going to have to be strong for them. And she's like, how? I love this house as much as they do. And she goes, yeah, but it's not the house that matters. As long as you guys are together, it's it's the people, it's what's inside. You have each other. And Joey's like, yeah, I know you're right, but
It still sucks.
she just feels like a failure. And Mel's like, you're not a failure.
Yeah.
She's you're an incredible mother with a big heart. I mean, they only have each other, and now she's only got each other and the kids. So she goes,
Well,
yeah. She goes,
I'll
most
say,
people don't have any idea what they're doing. So then
yeah.
Mel breaks down,
Mm-hmm.
and Joey's looking at her like, what is going on with you? And she goes, Jack and I broke up last night. And she's like, oh my God, what happened? And Mel knew it. After she had that conversation with Jack, she talked to Joey, and she's like, I think I freaked him out. This might scare him off.
And it did.
She saw that coming.
Mm-hmm. But the thing about knowing it and it happening is two different
Yeah.
things.
And she's like, telling him that I want a baby was too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey's like, maybe he'll come around. She's like, no, I don't think. He's so overwhelmed. It's too much. And Joey's like, well, what about you? How do you feel? And Mel, she just can't stop crying. She's like, she's heartbroken.
It's that she finally gave in to him. She finally, admitted how she felt about him, and then
He
and I
told
get
her to
where
be honest.
right, and then now, and so now she feels like her whole world is falling apart all over
Yep.
again.
Yep.
I mean, Mark's been dead a little over a year, and so now she's
This
in the
second
space
chance is like,
exactly.
maybe, it was, and she even said, I knew bringing it up might scare him off, and it did.
Mm.
Now, Joey, I blame this all on Joey. Because if she didn't put the idea in her head, I don't know if she would have actually done it. And another thing, I'll wait. I'll put a pin in that for a minute. Joey says, you don't need Jack to have a baby. Now, Mel's first thought is, I'm too exhausted to start over a new relationship with someone else. I just want to be with Jack. And she's like, no, I don't mean Jack. She goes, I mean you and Mark. You have 2 embryos left, right? And Mel's like, yeah. She goes, so use them. She goes, but those were for Mark and I to start a family. And Joey's like, you still can. And Mel's like, I can't raise a baby on my own. And Joey's like, she's thinking that it's over with Jack and that, which she's been trying to get her to move back since the day she moved there.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you wouldn't have to be by yourself. You could move back here. We could help you. I mean, the kids would love to have a baby cousin. She goes, but what if I have Mark's baby and it makes me miss him all over again? Which is very true. That could be too hard. She goes, yeah, but what if it ends up being a beautiful way for him to live on? Another true statement.
Okay, I see why you're mad.
Okay. So, Joey, why would you suggest that? Because she is so vulnerable right now and she wants a baby so bad. It's like, you are a pot stirrer. Love her dearly, do, really. But that's a lot. That's a lot. And even Alex Breckenridge said, would Mel really? I don't know. I don't think Mel would really do this. Like, would she really? I mean, I get the reason it was done, and I get that we kind of have to figure things out with Mark and his memory and all of that. And at some point, that chapter of her life does have to close. And leaving embryos in LA, it's like unfinished business.
Yes.
But really, I don't know. It just seems a little far-fetched. But, my opinion, just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
Yes, you are, my friend, yes.
So we wake up in LA, and we're seeing the lovely beaches. I love the aerial views. It's like they got a drone and they flew over.
Oh, yeah, the drones do an amazing job in this show because when we look at how they use them in the landscape of,
Oh, they
you
just
know,
really, really show
oh
the
yeah,
landscape.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of drones, but when we use it in this method, I'm loving it
Love
because
it.
there are things you would never see
Yeah, yeah,
because you're not that high up.
yeah.
So
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
So Mel is contemplating her decision. She's sitting in this beautiful bedroom overlooking the cityscape and thinking about her life with some melancholy music,
Mm-hmm.
just trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, that's a lovely view from her sister's house.
I know. The one of those glass, the rooms
Yeah,
on
I
the
was
on
not
the
gonna
third
say.
floor.
I'm thinking it's like on that floor there. Yeah.
And
So.
it shows her calling Dr. Benson at the fertility clinic. She
Mm-hmm.
gets her phone and she hits dial and makes the phone call.
Yes, she does.
Wow. Big step.
Big step.
So we are back at Jack's bar, and Preacher is there behind the counter, and Lizzie walks in, and he, I guess, has enlisted her assistance. Ricky's out of town. One of the servers called in sick, and Lizzie's there to help. And
Okay.
Preacher's going to explain to her, this is what we're doing today. So he's going to give her $100. She goes, wow, Connie said you needed a favor. And he goes, no, I got you covered. So she's actually going to make money. So she's like, well, what is all this? He goes, oh, well, it's a Texas-style all-you-can-eat barbecue buffet. She's like, cool. He goes, somebody will be taking drink orders, and outside is the smoker. And that's what she's in charge of. Take a handful of the wood chips, you put them in here, you sprinkle on the firebox. And she goes, have you ever used a smoker before? And he's like, oh, there's nothing to it. It's easy. You might want to put your hair up, though. And she looks at him strange. And he goes, well, how do you think I lost mine? She's like, really? No, I'm just messing with you. Hilarious. He tells him. So now she's in charge of a smoker. Now we are back at the police station in Humboldt County. And Mike is there. And he is having a chat with Jack. And he's like, so Brady admitted to being at the bar the night of the shooting. And he's like, yeah, but only after I remembered it. He didn't give that up. And he's like, anything else? He goes, well, he was wearing a black hoodie, and we were fighting about something. And he goes, do you remember a gun? And he was like, no. It's like, okay. He goes, but that's all I got. He goes, okay, well, that's a good start. He goes, so what happens now? He goes, all right, well, let's get a warrant. We're going to search Brady's property. Maybe we have enough we can do that. He goes, okay, well, if I remember anything else, I'll let you know. So then Mike is like, can I ask you something that has absolutely nothing to do with the case? And Jack's like, yeah, sure. And he goes, I don't know if it's cool or not, but it's about Bree. Now, this is the way to do it. If you want to date a guy's sister, you ask him.
Yes.
And he goes, well, what about her? And he goes, how do you feel if I asked her out? He goes, don't you have a fiance? He goes, yeah, that long distance thing isn't working for her. So, He goes, dude, I keep telling you, you don't have to stick around here on my account. But we know Mike likes Virgin River. I think he's sticking around on his own account.
I do. I think so too. Because remember how when at the barbecue, when he said to Jack that he loved the idea of not sitting in traffic.
Yep. He liked fishing.
Jack told him he could leave. He liked fishing.
Yep. He went fishing instead of sitting in traffic.
Exactly. So I think he Virgin River is.
It's working for him. It is definitely working for him.
I mean, Bree is an extra added bonus. But I think he really likes Virgin River because the life of an LA cop is not an easy one.
This is so much better.
Exactly. And if his bosses aren't complaining that he's there,
no.
I say, boyfriend, you do you.
And all the experience he has, what he brings to them is a lot. So they're loving having him around.
Yeah. So.
And he's like, well, I guess the girl he was dating, it was for the best. And he's like, it really wasn't what I wanted it to be. And he goes, well, she never looked at me the way Mel looks at you. And
Interesting.
that's another stab in the heart to Jack because and
I'm just gonna have
Jack's
to.
like,
Yeah,
ugh.
yeah. Look at
And
his face.
I know he's like, I don't even think he told him. I think he just like,
No.
yeah, yeah, and just walks away.
Hmm.
Just walk away.
Yeah, because I think it's starting. Little pieces of things are starting to pile up on him. Basically
Well,
saying, "You're not."
he made a very impulsive decision,
Hmm.
and
And now it's
he did it for the right reasons, but it was the wrong decision.
yeah.
So and now it's eating him away, and now this is the second person that told him that he screwed that up.
And remember, Doc had told him a while ago that Mel is a woman who knows her own mind and she
Right.
will tell you how she feels. So the fact that
Listen to
he,
her. Yeah, you didn't listen to her.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So now we see more scenery, but we have Lily and Tara, and they're walking their horses. They just went riding, and they're like, "Oh, it feels so good to be riding again," because I'm sure Lily hasn't been out in a while. Tara's like, I was thinking I never should have left, and Lily's like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I never should have left home because if I had gone to Humboldt State University instead of San Francisco, I could have spent more time with you and Dad." And she's like, "No, your dad and I are so proud of you that you went and did your thing. Your father used to brag. Our little Tara is a city girl." And then she's saying she should have come home after the dad died, and she's like, "I never wanted you to give up your life, and I still don't." And she goes, "I'm so grateful that you're here and you're going to adopt Chloe." But she goes, "Of course, I do that without question." She goes, "But it's a
right,
huge responsibility, and I hope that when I'm no longer here." And she goes, "Mom, don't talk like that." And she goes, "Let me finish, please." She's like, "When I'm gone, I don't want you to think that you have to stay in Virgin River. You have to feel obligated to raise Chloe here. You need to go and live wherever makes you happy."
right,
So it's nice that she's given her permission to do what's best for her
right.
because you know that that's going to weigh on her.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So now we are at, it looks like a little outdoor cafe, and Brady's
Hmm.
sitting at a little table, and Bree walks up.
Oh boy.
And he must have been trying to get a hold of her
Hmm.
because
Because
she's
she said,
like, she's not
"I
happy.
can give you." She says, "I'm giving you 5 minutes." And when a woman says she's giving you 5 minutes, you better get everything you
Yeah.
all need to
The
say in
timer
five.
is on. Start talking.
The minute her butt hits the seat, you start talking.
He's like, "I didn't shoot Jack." Now he thinks that that's all she's there to talk to him about. But
Hmm.
remember, Jack gave her a lot more information than that.
Oh, yes. Now she's fully informed.
He's like, "He told me you're a drug dealer." And he's looking at her like, she goes, "So it's true?" Now he's, that sitting back, moving in your seat. Like, he can't say
Hmm.
no because technically, yes, he may not have actually participated in it, but it happened under his watch. So,
Hmm.
kind of, yeah, you know?
Yep.
And he's got to do that, uh, uh. He goes, "I knew the grow wasn't legal, but I didn't know about the fentanyl until later." It's like, okay, but then you found out about it. He goes, "Look, all I was trying to do is make a bunch of cash so I can get out of here."
Mm.
She's like, "Well, if it was all about the money, I guess that makes it okay." I mean, she's a lawyer. He's like,
Yes.
I know, I made a bad choice, but I didn't shoot Jack. Like, he's going to focus on that. I'm telling you the truth.
Hmm.
He's like, "I did go to see him." She turns around and she's like, because she was ready to get up. He's like, "That night at
Hmm.
the bar." She sits back down again. He goes, "We got into an argument and I left. And the last time I saw him, he was fine, I swear." She goes, "Why didn't you tell Mike that?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, because he wouldn't believe me." He said, "Why not?" He goes, "I have a history with Jack and Mike, and it goes back to Iraq." He goes, "So tell the sheriff." He goes, "I have a record." Again, information she did not know. He's like, "After I got back from my last tour, I drank a lot.
Hmm.
And I got into a bar fight, and I was arrested. Because I had a loaded gun on me, I did a year at county." And she's like, "Wow, you make it sound like it's no big deal." He goes, "Listen, I deserve every minute of that sentence." I could have killed those guys, but I didn't shoot anybody. So as far as the drugs go, that stuff, that's over. The lumber company, totally legit now. He's like, Bree, I know I made a lot of bad choices, but I'm not a villain here.
That's an understatement.
Now, she has feelings for him.
Oh, yeah.
So this is very so hard.
Yeah.
He's like, do you believe me? And she's looking at him with a little bit of puppy dog eyes. Like, part of her wants to believe him. Now she's like getting teary because it's like another bad guy that I've fallen for. It's just going to break my heart. She goes, yeah, I believe you. I believe that's what you think. But in my career, I learned that people are capable of justifying their actions no matter how reprehensible. And she gets up and walks away.
Yep. Yeah, because she can't go down this road again.
No.
I'm not on this road again.
She's law and order, and he is not.
Yeah, she basically has done the bad boy thing. And the thing is, she's not even over the last asshole. Excuse my friend.
No, that's true.
You know,
he
was. And we don't know even the degree of
what happened there. Yeah, we will find out, and that fits.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact is that she jumped into this relationship thinking, okay, yeah, Brady isn't as cut clean, but at least, he's honest.
He's a little bit of a bad boy, and that seemed like fun.
And she knew that. It's not like she didn't know that. But the degree of all the stuff that she's finding out is a little too much for her to handle.
Yeah.
This is a lot for her to
handle. This is too much.
Yeah.
Especially because she's so vulnerable right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Lily and Tara are walking the horses back. And we've got... Oh, look at that. It's Muriel. And... Shoot, what is Ricky's grandma's name again?
Oh, God.
Not Joellen.
No. No, you put me on the spot. I forgot. Bloody hell.
Crap. Hold on. I gotta look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky's grandma, Virgin River. Liddy,
yes.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just Google's really quick.
That's
okay. So Lily and Tara are walking back to the house with the horses, and look who they see on the porch. It's Liddy and Muriel. And Tara's like, oh, they're waving and they're excited. And Lily's like, what? And she goes, oh, they double booked themselves for babysitting. She goes, I didn't have the heart to tell them no. She goes, so go have fun with your friends and I'll watch Chloe. So she takes the horses back. And so, of course, they brought knitting. They're just happy to see each other. And she needs the support of her friends right now. Mm-hmm. So she's like, come on, let's make some tea.
And that's the thing. This is what she would have missed out on,
right?
If she had told them.
Exactly.
So I think, and that's why
she didn't realize it though. I think she was trying to be strong, and she didn't.
I understand that, but I think, and that's why I feel like she. And as again, I point back to the fact that I think she, because we know what we know about the actress who had to leave Hope's for her mother.
Right.
I feel like Hope's missed out on this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
they had to rewrite half the season.
They had to.
They had to tie it all together somehow and make it work.
Yeah.
So they did the best. I think that was pretty good. They figured it out.
Yeah. I just feel like the character Hope missed out on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway. So, yeah.
So now we're back at the barbecue, and Lizzie is out back. Now she's cooking something in the grill. She's on the phone, and she's calling Ricky, and he wasn't available, and She's trying to leave him a message, and he's not picking up. And she's stuck
Mm-hmm.
sweating sweating with the
Sweating
oldies
through
out there. And it turns out that Ricky is doing his test for the Marines.
Yeah.
So he's in this classroom setting, and they're like, okay, you're going to be tested on math and technical proficiency, and the results will determine if you're qualified to enlist in the greatest military force in the world. So he has to pass this test. He has 3 hours and 45 minutes to complete the exam.
Mm-hmm.
Once it begins, you're not permitted to leave the room. And the guy's like, good luck, you may begin.
Yes.
So now we see Mel sitting at the fertility clinic by herself. Santa Monica Care and Fertility. Now, this was always a thing. Like, when you go into fertility clinics, half the time you're in the waiting room, and a lot of times there's a lot of pregnant women there. And that was always the hardest part, because you're there, you want to have a baby, and you're seeing people who are like just getting things checked, just, everybody's happy and excited, and you're like, yeah, I just want one of those. Yeah.
Well, you would know. So
yeah, it was 5 years of infertility. That was tough.
Yeah.
So Mel's sitting there waiting for her turn, and across the room she sees a couple who are just filling out paperwork, very pregnant woman, and then it reminds her. So we have another flashback of her and Mark. Now in this flashback, now we know she's from LA, and everybody seems in LA. I guess, he's a rich doctor, and Joey's husband must be pretty wealthy. They have these beautiful houses that overlook the ocean with these, glass walls that overlook the ocean on a balcony, and, it's beautiful. So Mel is sitting there trying to paint her toes with an extremely pregnant belly, which is very difficult.
Yes, it is.
And he walks in, Mark, and he's like, why are you not doing this at the nail place? And she's like, because. She goes, my feet are too sensitive right now, and I don't want anybody touching them. And he goes, all right.
I can relate to that.
Right? He's like, let me do this for you. He goes, oh, what, you do pedicures now? He goes, well, I know how to use a paintbrush, so it's really not that different. It is paint. And she's like, okay. She's like, oh, it's a lot of polish. You need to wipe the brush in the bottle a little. And he's like, like criticism. And she's like giving him directions. He's like, madam. I mean, he's kind of cute. Please, let me focus on my art. She goes, don't drip it on the carpet, because we can't, and he's like, could you just, I mean, it's like, it's very cute.
Yes, it is.
He's like, oh, you got me nervous now.
She looks so cute pregnant.
Doesn't she? Yeah. She's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. She's like, wow, look at that. Thank you. And he goes, you're quite welcome. And then he kisses her foot. And then he gets up and he kisses her. And you see, good things happen when you have a little faith. And he taps a little finger on her belly. And just then, the nurse comes out and says, Miss Monroe, Dr. Benson is ready to see you.
Oh, yes.
She looks so professional. It's like her whole look in LA is so different than Virgin River.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a different vibe.
Totally.
So
now we're back at the clinic, and Doc is talking to one of his patients, an older woman. And she's like, I'm retired now. There's no way I should be this worn out. And he's like, well, your blood work shows a deficiency in vitamin D, which is likely responsible for your fatigue and your muscle soreness. And she goes, well, that's a relief. He's like, I'm going to write you a prescription for some vitamin D supplement.
Yeah.
And he goes, 30, and then you come back and you see me in a month, and we'll see how you're feeling. And she's like, okay, great. And he goes, so tell me, how is retirement? She laughs. She's like, well, it's an adjustment.
Yes, it is.
And then the cell phone rings, and he has to take it, and it's Hope. And she's like, oh, give her my best, because everybody knows everybody. He goes, I'll call you later to schedule that follow-up. Gives her the prescription, and off she goes. And he's like, hey. She goes, okay, What are you not telling me? She goes, oh, slow down. Don't I even get a hello? She goes, hello, Vernon. What are you not telling me? And he goes, oh, first of all, Kathleen says hello. And second, how was your Aunt Nancy's appointment? He goes, tell Catherine hello back. And the cardiologist said Aunt Nancy's got the heart of a 50-year-old. So, of course, she needled me about my heart attack the entire ride home. Now, what's wrong with Lily? Like, she's just trying to get to it. Because everything's fine right now. Lily's got some news that she wants to share with you in person, but nothing that can't wait till you get back next week. He goes, Vernon, you're infuriating. He goes, look, Lily specifically asked me not to tell you. Patience is a virtue for a reason. So finish your stay, and you can visit with Lily as soon as you get back. And then they hear glass smashing, and she goes, oh, of course. Aunt Nancy refused to wait for me to help her with the dishwasher. This Aunt Nancy.
Aunt Nancy is a older version of Hope.
Yeah, I agree. She's like, I better go before I have to drink out of paper cups. She broke all the glasses. Oh, my goodness.
Ah, yes.
She's like, we are not done talking about this. He goes, okay. Goodness. So now he's got to hold her off, which is very difficult.
Yeah, because he doesn't like lying to her.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like lying to her. You know, and Vernon is not good at keeping, I mean, he can keep secrets, but I think this one is very hard for him.
Oh, yeah.
Not only physically, but emotionally as well.
Probably more because he's, you know, in the back of his mind, he's like, God, what if something happens?
So we've got the sewing group together.
I know. So we've got Muriel and Liddy and Lily and Joellen. Mm-hmm. And they're all talking. And she's like, she won't tell you because she doesn't want you to know her age. And Connie comes in and she goes, Connie, where have you been? She goes, oh, I was helping Preacher. She goes, are you sure you're up to this many visitors? She goes, oh, please have a seat. It's fine. So what have I missed? She goes, well, Muriel is just telling us about the time she tried to seduce Buck, which is Lily's husband who passed away. She goes, come again? She goes, okay. This was a very long time ago, and I was new in town, and I ran into Buck at Jack's. They're all sitting there crocheting. She goes, how was I supposed to know he was married? She goes, well, Buck always wore a wedding ring. And she goes, I'm not a detective. He goes, I can't believe you never told us this. She goes, I'm sure he thought Muriel was just being friendly. And Liddy's like, well, I always thought he was very sexy. And Lily's like, what? She goes, well, I'm a sucker for a 10-gallon hat and a pair of cowboy boots. She goes, well, who knew? And they're all laughing. I mean, this is so good for her to get all the ladies together. She goes, I'm so grateful that you ladies cleared all your schedules and we could all hang out today. She goes, I've had such a beautiful life. She goes, you have. Connie's like, you have such a beautiful life. She goes, I'm truly blessed. I had a loving husband, beautiful, healthy children. She goes, loyal friends, and the fortune to live in one of the most beautiful places on earth.
That's true.
She goes, my only regret is leaving Tara and Chloe behind. And she goes, you know, when I'm gone, no matter where they're living, I need each of you to watch over them for me. Because she's not going to ask for help. And Chloe, please tell her our stories. And remind her over and over again how much her mama loved her.
Oh, I'm crying just thinking of that.
And they're like, of course. And they all do like a big group hug. She goes, I just love you all so much.
And they have been friends for a long time.
Well, some of them like Hope has been there for 20 plus years. Lily's been there forever. I mean, all of her kids were born there. So, I mean, she's been there more than 20 years. I mean, most of them. I think Muriel is probably the newest.
The newest, yeah.
And it doesn't really say. She says she's known them a long time, but maybe 10 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Not as long as the rest. They don't really say.
Yeah.
So.
And that's fine. I mean, it's still a decade and more for all of them, you know. So these are friendships you have.
Right.
These
are the long-lasting friendships.
Exactly. These are the long-lasting ones. So it's hard that she's. Oh yes. Anyway.
But it's so good that she has them. That even if she's going through this hard time, that they're aware of it and they can be there to support her. Mm-hmm. So we're back at Jack's bar, and Jack comes into the kitchen, and he's like, yeah, you know, this barbecue was a great idea. And he goes, it literally tripled our receipts. And Preacher's like, I'm really glad it worked out. And he goes, speaking of that, we still need to discuss our partnership. And he goes, are you sure? And he goes, I don't want you to feel pressured. And he goes, no, no, no. I admit when you first brought it up, I didn't really see it from your point of view. He goes, well, no offense, but you do that a lot. It's not just me. Okay, this is the third person. It's giving him a little bit of insight into the way he's thinking about life. And he's like, yeah, right. I'm sorry about that. He goes, don't even worry about it. He goes, but if you're still interested, the bottom line is the profits aren't always a lot, but there's going to be months where you earn less. But if you're okay with that, because when we're doing well, we're doing really well. And Preacher's like, well, I didn't think you were going to offer that, but let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. And you know, Jack is like, always take as much time as you need. He always tells everybody, take whatever time you need. He's a very patient man. He's like impulsive in one sense, a lot, but very, very patient in others. The man needs to find a happy medium. Jack.
Good luck with that, girlfriend.
God, it's like he's either running with his pants on fire or he's sitting back doing nothing. It's like, dude, figure it out.
He's an all or nothing kind of man, girlfriend.
Oh, my God. Yes.
He's an all or nothing kind of man.
So now he's like, thinking. Now we're back at Joey's place. It looks like Mel is packing up to go back to Virgin River. And Joey's like, are you sure you can't stay? And Mel's like, nah, I told Doc that I'd be back tomorrow. So when she left, she probably just thought she needed some time. Even though they broke up, she knows she has a responsibility.
Right, but also I think I also think that Doc knew that she was going to come and help her sister before.
Right, that was pre-planned. She was already going to go. It was already a trip. Now she's just got to deal with Jack, which is because he was living with her. I mean, that, he moved out, I would assume, while she was gone.
He got kicked out.
I mean, like, he had to go back and get his stuff and, while she was gone. And he knew how long she'd be away. And so he knew this was going to be very awkward when she returns. So she had a planned trip. So, yeah, she's packing up to go back. And Joey's like, well, maybe the kids and I can come visit you. And, of course, Mel's like, I would love that. And she's like, are you really considering moving back? And Mel, with everything going on with Jack and everything, she's like, I'm thinking about it. I think she really just doesn't know what she wants. And, of course, Joey's like, well, I don't mean to sound selfish, but having you here would make me happy. Of course, and she goes, I know, but I do have to finish out my contract, which is a year. And she's been gone roughly 3 months, maybe. I think we might maybe about the 3-month mark. I think we figured that out. And Joey's like, of course, that's like 9 more months. She's like, of course you have to finish out your contract. She appreciates her for coming, and she said that she couldn't. Joey's like, I couldn't have gotten through this without you. And she's, of course, very teary. And she's like, oh, don't start crying, because if you start crying, then I'm going to start crying, and then it's going to be like a whole mess. And Joey, this is like one of the lines that sticks, for people. She's like, I don't know how to be alone, and she's like, you're not alone. You have me. She goes, yeah, but you're far away. She goes, but anytime you need me, I can hop on a plane and I'll be here right away. She's like, okay. Because one of the things that she also said was, what was it? I want a divorce. I don't want to be divorced. Yeah. Because that means you're alone.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, she's just anticipating having to do, they've been married 15 years, so she's now like, her whole life is going to look different. The rest of her life is going to look very different and very lonely, as in her eyes. She has no idea what the future holds, but so they're giving each other big hugs because they're missing each other already, and she hasn't even left yet.
No.
Now we're back at Virgin River, and Jack, it seems to always take out the trash. I don't know what that is about.
Well, he can't cook, really, except for steak, so...
He does everything else, so...
Right, exactly. He does the accounting, he does the bar.
Right. So there's very few people in the bar, and Mike is at the bar. I just noticed him sitting at the bar, and he was like, wow, it's kind of slow. And he goes, well, everybody came in for the barbecue, and, they probably didn't need to eat the rest of the day because that was a pretty big deal. And then Preacher left because he had to get Christopher. And so I guess Jax figures he's just going to close up. And Mike's like, cool, I'm just going to finish up. No problem, and I'll get out of here. So he's just sitting there, and Brady walks in, drunk. And he's like, well, look who it is, Detective Mike Valenzuela. He goes, Brady, you're drunk. Go home. He goes, you got to be proud of yourself, huh? And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Once again, I'm the bad guy, and you're the hero. He goes, well, Mike's like, if the shoe fits. He goes, well, that's the thing. It doesn't. You see, I've paid for the crimes I've committed. Can you say the same? And he gets up in his face. Mike stands they're nose to nose. And Mike's like, don't go there. And he's like, why not, Mike? You afraid everyone's going to find out you're not such a hero after all? He goes, you know what? I know. I always thought there was something that somebody wasn't telling, and it hasn't come out.
Exactly. That's the thing. It hasn't come out yet. So
we're in 6 seasons, and we still don't know what that's about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it ever will. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. And he's like, look, I'm not the criminal around here. You are. And Brady's like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. He goes, well, I know what you did in Iraq, Mike. You got blood on your hands just like everyone else. And he pushes him. And then Brady pushes back, and Mike pushes and throws him on top of the pool table. And then Brady throws a punch, and Mike pushes him down, and they bust the table down. And then Jack runs in, and he's breaking it up right before Brady is about ready to punch Mike. And he's like, get off him and get out of here. And he leaves. Oh, he must have got a punch in.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack's like, what is that all about? He goes, classic Brady. Nothing's ever his fault. He goes, I hope they lock him up and throw away the key. And he sits down and he finishes his drink. Slams the glass down. So, now we're at a country club.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a golf course. I think it's the same place that Jack and Todd had a drink. Yes.
It's a very expensive drink.
Yep. And we see Charmaine, and a woman is looking at her engagement ring, and she's like, oh, it's gorgeous and huge. And Todd walks over, and he's like, hi, honey, sorry to interrupt. Mind if I steal her for a moment? And Todd grabs Charmaine, and he's like, Charmaine, I'd love for you to meet Thomas Blair, one of the largest real estate developers. She's like, oh, wow. Tom, this is my fiance, Charmaine. He goes, oh, lovely to finally meet you. Oh, it's nice to meet you, too. And, would you like keep her company for a minute? And so he leaves, like random. So he goes, oh, I hear we're going to be neighbors. And she's like, sorry. He goes, he just told me that you guys are moving to Eureka. And she's like, did he? And so she marches right over to Todd, pulls him away from the person he was talking to. And she's like, we're moving to Eureka? And he's like, oh, excuse me, the person he's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, would you keep your voice down? She's like, what about the house in Clear River? I thought we agreed to live there. And he's like, well, the house in Eureka is twice the size. And she's like, yeah, but my life is in Clear River. I mean, my friends, the salon. He's like, so you'll make new friends. We'll find you another salon to run if that's what you really want to do.
See where this man is it.
She's like, I just don't understand why you changed your mind. And he's like, well, I have a feeling that Jack's going to try to make our lives complicated. So I figured once we move to Eureka, it'll be, out of sight, out of mind. And she's like, Jack's not going to give up the twins just because we moved to Eureka. He goes, well, maybe not at first, but if we make things difficult for him, I believe eventually he'll back down. By then, we'll have the freedom to raise our family in whatever way we see fit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, love you, gives her a kiss. And he goes, I got to catch up with somebody. I'll be back. And kind of leaves her standing there, kind of dumbfounded.
Right. Because she knows what kind of man Jack is. It's not like Jack is an awful person.
No.
And, and so I think this whole thing is not sitting well with her.
Well, I mean, and the original idea of it was good. Like, because it was revenge. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
marry someone and he's going to be their father and blah, 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 blah. But now that the reality of how that's actually going to work is coming into play, this is not.
Yeah.
This is not what she wants.
No, this is not what she wants.
I mean, she wants Jack to be a part of their lives. I mean, I think she might not say that. She might disagree with that because she was on Todd's side at the time. But
because she so wanted a relationship, because
right.
Jack has a relationship,
right,
as far as she's concerned. So she wanted the same thing, but now she's starting to see the reality of that, as they say.
Yeah.
And it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
No, this is not. She would not have chosen this.
Nope.
She turns around and look who is sitting playing mahjong not 2 feet behind her. Muriel. She's like, "Hi, Charmaine," and she heard the whole conversation.
Yeah.
So, and Muriel's not one to go tattle. She will probably keep that to herself. But the fact that somebody else knows that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, Jack is going to get it one more time. He's visiting Doc. He's getting his checkup, and he's like, Doc's checking him out. We're at the clinic. Because he has to, he did get shot like a month ago. And so, they have to keep following up to make a month and a half, whatever it was. And they have to keep checking in on him. Because he still, he still has residual things happening. So Doc's like 120/70. You're doing great. You're looking good. Doc is like, how are things with you and Mel? And he's like, not so great. And Doc's like, what happened? Like, I know she's in LA, but that was a planned trip, in his mind. And Jack's like, I broke it off. And Doc, like the father that he is, I mean, he goes into dad mode
real fast.
Like a light switch. And he's like, she wants to have a baby of her own, and I'm not 100% sure I can give her that. And Doc is like, but you love her. And he goes, well, of course I do. And he goes, he's like, you want unsolicited advice? It's usually Hope Serena. But he goes, for you, I'm going to make an exception. He goes, Mel is a self-sufficient, strong-willed, extremely capable woman.
She is.
Yeah. Who happens to have a very big heart right in the center of her very tough exterior. She's not someone who's fragile. She's not someone who has been shielded from life's hardships. And if you've been transparent with her, and he's like, I have, then she knows exactly what she's getting into. She would not go forward if she didn't think that that's not what she wanted. And you think you might need to protect her? That's not what she needs. And that's not what she wants. He goes, I think it would be a tragedy for you to go through life alone because of a misguided perception of the woman you love. I mean, Doc looks like he wants to cry. Jack's already tearing up. I mean, these are like men with like these soft, squishy middles that you just only see once in a while. And Jack's like practically in tears.
Yeah, because he knows he messed up. He knows he messed up.
Well, this is the fourth person that said something about it.
And so he is like, what did I do? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And how am I going to get out of it now that I've messed it up?
I love what he says to Doc. He goes, I don't ever recall you stringing that many words together. He's like, ever. And he goes, well, I do say my piece when it's absolutely necessary. And the two of them, I mean, I'm waiting for a tear to like fall out of Jack's eye. Like he's that close. And Doc just turns around and walks away. And he just leaves Jack sitting there like pondering his thoughts with a big sigh. He looks very nice in blue, by the way. It makes his eyes show. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
That's all right.
So now we're at Liz, where Lizzie lives with Connie. And she spent the entire day doing barbecue on the smoker. She probably
smelled smoke.
She needed a shower. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Ricky shows up and he's like, "Hi, Connie, let me in." And she didn't even give me a hard time, which is weird. She goes, so
Had
what
a
did you do
relationship.
today? He goes, oh, I hung out with my grandma. She's like, oh, that's nice. Did you go anywhere? He goes, oh, we went to Clear River. We walked around. She's like, uh-huh. She goes, because I tried to call you. Yeah, my phone died. She's like, uh-huh. So what did you do today? And she's like, well, I washed my hair 3 times. You know why I had to wash my hair 3 times? He's like, no. Because I covered your shift at the bar and my hair reeked of smoking brisket. He goes, oh, you
Oh.
covered my shift? She goes, yeah, preacher said you were out of town visiting a friend. So he asked if Connie if I could fill in. He goes, oh, arms folded, standing in front of him like, can I ask you something? Which one of us are lying? She's like, uh-huh, that's what I thought. Just go.
Man.
And she kicks him out. Leave. She's practically crying.
Yeah.
Yep, he screwed up. If you're going to
Okay,
lie,
my
at least
question.
come up with a better one.
Well, the problem that I have with Ricky lying is this is a small town.
I
People
know.
know what everybody's doing. This is what I don't understand.
Because they
You
think they're
can't
above it. I don't know.
because your grandmother because first of all, your grandmother is friends with her aunt where they
Right? Like Connie
I
was with Liddy all afternoon. They were over at Lily's house.
exactly. If you're gonna lie, make sure that your grandmother and Connie are in the same place or different places. If you're
Yeah.
gonna lie
If
that
you're going to lie,
badly,
at least make it believable. Don't make up something that isn't easily figured out. I mean, come on, dude. He
yeah,
needs a little. He's a little young.
I know lying is not part of his universal skill at this
Not
point.
usually. No.
No, but he'll learn as he gets older.
I guess. Yes. Yes. It's a skill. It's a
And
skill that needs to be. He needs to develop
the
it.
whole menu.
Yeah, he definitely needs to work on that. Put it on his
Yeah.
bucket list. So we're back at Lily's,
Yes.
and Tara's bringing her some tea, and they're gonna sit down together. And I guess Chloe's sleeping, and I guess the ladies they spend some time with Chloe, so they wore her out.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's at the door, and it's Doc, and he's like, "Hi, sorry that I dropped by unannounced." And they're like, "Oh, I was happy to see you." And she's like, "How about a coffee?" And he's like, "Absolutely."
Another thing, he lives on coffee and preacher's cooking.
Exactly. What else do you need? So he talked to Hope, and he wanted to come talk to Lily. And she's like, that's why I'm here. And Lily's like, yeah, I've had a half a dozen messages demanding that I call her back.
Yeah, because you know she wasn't gonna let that slide with Vernon, right?
Right. And she's like, and he's like, did you call her back yet? And she's like, well, she's gotten wind that something's amiss. She's like, and he's like, well, does she know I have cancer? He's like, no, but she knows that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I'm doing my best to hold her off, but next week when she steps off that plane, I suspect she's going to show up here asking questions. So I just want to give you a heads up, make sure you know you're ready, and that I will keep your confidence until then. And she's like, thank you. She goes, but I've been trying to, drive myself crazy trying to figure out like how to tell her. Because if I call her back, she's going to drop everything and come home. And if I keep waiting, I'm afraid she's going to be so angry at me for keeping her in the dark. He goes, well,
That's
why
true.
would, she's going to be upset. And Lily's like, look, you're the one who's sick. You don't know Hope or anybody else, any medical report or anything else. Don't let it sap your energy. Don't worry about what other people think. And she's like, yeah, but she's my best friend. She's not other people. She's like, that's why she'll understand, because she loves you and she wants the best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's like, she's been so good to me all these years. She's like, look, if you want me to, I could talk to her first. She goes, no, I'll think about it. So Tara comes back and she brings him a cup of coffee. And he's like, I'll just drink this and get out of your hair. And she's like, no. Why don't you stay for dinner? It'll be great. And he goes, well, I'm not going to give up a free meal. You can twist my arm. So Lily's like, look, I'm going to go have a little cat nap. And then you guys sit on the porch, enjoy, have your coffee. It's beautiful out there. Tara's making dinner. It smells delicious. She'll have a nap and they'll have dinner in a little while. And Tara goes over to Doc and she's like, I know it's wishful thinking, but does she seem a little better to you? And Doc's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, she looks really good. And Tara's like, I know. She goes, I don't know. I've been praying for a miracle and maybe it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc's like, well, maybe. So now I love this scene.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's a good one.
love this scene. So now Jack has had 4 people tell him he's being an ass, basically.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yes.
That you have the love of your life and you just sent her away. You just broke up with her. Why would you do that?
Because he's an
Like,
ass, as pointed out earlier.
yeah. So he has to contemplate his life choices right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes out to this pier over the Virgin River with the scenery in the background and the music. Oh, I love the song to this too. The music
Yeah.
for this is so, so good.
Yeah. It's very, it's so telling. Let's just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So he walks out. It's like a T-shaped dock, and he
Mm-hmm.
walks out to the top of the T.
And look at his face. He looks so unhappy.
Oh my
He looks like
God,
he hasn't slept
he
in
looks
days.
tortured, like
Yeah, he looks like he
tortured.
hasn't slept in days.
Yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
probably hasn't slept since she's been gone.
Mm-hmm. Well,
He's
he's
running
been
on
even.
like caffeine and a hope and a prayer.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for breaking up with the love of your life.
So he's remembering all those times with her. So it's sort of like a montage. So it goes
Yeah.
back to when the first memory is her, when he gave her the cabin and how happy she was when he gave her the cabin. And he
Mm-hmm.
smiles. He has a little smile on his face. And then when they were sitting, when they found Chloe and he brought her coffee and they were sitting in the bench in the doc's office talking
Mm-hmm.
about all of those things, and she's smiling at him. And then the third memory is their first date where she walked out in the green dress.
Yeah.
She's smiling. And then remember when they were on the river when he almost
Sure.
threw himself in for kayaking and she sort of
Yeah.
brought him back?
Save. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they're sitting on the rock and she puts her head on his shoulder and he's remembering that memory.
Yeah.
And then after she got attacked by the guy with the knife and he brought her back to the cabin and put frozen peas on her ankle. And then she dropped the pillow and he had to like put it back with her and they got really close and it was very awkward. Very awkward. Very lots of sexual tension, staring at each other.
Yep.
And he's remembering sort of like painful, like it's painful the way he's just sort of staring. And then after they get back from the pot camp when they got kidnapped and they sat in front of the fireplace and had a drink, he was remembering
Mm-hmm.
that. And then when he injured himself, when he was doing some renovation in one of the storerooms to turn it into a nursery, and he cut himself in
Almost
the
right.
leg,
Yeah.
and he had to go to the clinic and get stitched up. And he's remembering her face, looking at her while she's stitching him up. And then the two of them, when they were at the pot camp, the morning that they woke up, and he was telling her that she's snoring, and she was like, I don't snore. And they're laughing at each other right before they got taken back to talk to Calvin. And he's remembering that. And when he got shot, after he recovered and they had that picnic for Ricky, when he was at the grill grilling everything at the barbecue, and the two
Mm-hmm.
of them were having all the smoochies.
Yeah.
So
Makeout session.
he's remembering that, and he's laughing. He actually got a big smile on his face when he remembered that. And then their first time when he brought her back to the cabin and unlocked the door for her when her car died, and he hands her the keys, and she grabbed his hand and pulled him back, and then they wound up between the sheets. He's
Mm-hmm.
remembering that, and his face is very serious. You can't
Mm-hmm.
forget that. That was a big one.
It certainly was.
And that the scenery of just him standing at the end of the dock with the
I
clouds and the
know.
mountains.
Isn't
I
it
mean,
beautiful? Oh,
God,
that's gorgeous.
it's like a postcard.
I know.
I love that scene. That's like one of my favorites. So he's contemplating life, and the sun is going down, and there's a car pulling up at the cabin, and Jack is sitting there on the bench at the front door, waiting. And it's her. It must be an Uber. She's got her suitcase. and she's waving to the driver. And he's like, hey. And she's like, what are you doing here? He's like, look, I had to. And she just walks by. She doesn't even talk to him. He's like, Mel, we need to talk. And she's like, there's nothing to talk about. And she's unlocking the door, grabbing her suitcase, going in. He goes, all right, please. Like, hear me out. If you don't like what I have to say, then I'll leave. She takes off her jacket. She's like, fine. She hangs it up, and she walks over to the kitchen. He's like, look, I underestimated you. The only reason I broke things off was because I was afraid you'd get hurt. And she's like, I told you I don't need protecting. She's just drinking a glass of water. She's pissed. Like, she's still pissed.
Oh, yeah.
She barely wants to even listen to him. He's like, I know. I understand that now. He's like, I should have had more faith in you. I get it. I just got overwhelmed. I let the anxiety get the best of me, and it wasn't my decision to make, and I'm sorry. And she's like, looking him up and down. He's like, look, I never should have ended things. She goes, well, what do you want from me? And he's like, I want you back. She goes, Jack, no. She walks away. No, don't. She's like, you broke things off for a reason. The twins, the custody battle. Forget all that. Look, I realized I acted out of fear, and that's not who I am. She's like, yeah, but Jack, things are only going to get harder. And you know that. I mean, he knows that.
Yeah.
She's like, how are you going to react then? He's like, I truly believe anything worth having is worth fighting for.
Mm.
And she's like, got her arms folded in front of her and taking a deep breath. It's like, she wants to believe him, but God, that's hard.
Yep.
He's like, okay. He goes, that's who I am. He goes, and you, Mel Monroe, are the love of my life. Now she's going to, like, her insides are melting at this point. I guarantee it.
Yes.
And she's giving him a look like, oh my God. And she's like, Jack. Like he's working on those walls. The walls are melting just a little bit.
How do you say no to that man?
Right? He's like, I know you love me too. He goes, I swear I'll spend the rest of my life fighting to make you happy. She's like, Jack, you walked away from me. And she walks away from him. Like, she crosses the room. Like, she literally cannot standing in front of him for another second with him talking like that. Like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. Like, she has to get some distance or she might fold.
Yeah. She's trying to be strong here.
She's trying. It's hard. Like I said, the walls are melting. And he's like, no, Mel, please. And he's like practically crying. He's like, I'm begging you, okay? And she's got her arms folded, but you could, the look on her face.
Yeah, she's still pissed, and she has a right to be.
She's pissed, but it's working. Like, you can see the cracks in the wall. The cracks in the wall. He's like, I screwed up. And he grabs her face. That's like the thing.
That was the downfall.
That once he grabbed both sides of her face, that was it. Like,
he touched.
Yep. But that's like, it's the both sides of the face grab that always does it for everybody. Any show, any movie, that's what does the women in.
Oh, yes.
He's like, I made a huge mistake, but I'm begging you. Okay, the man is begging. He's begging. And he swears he'll, the rest of his life, like, this is not like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Like, no. This comes from deep in his core. It took 4 people to wake him up, and she looks at him and she's like, he goes, please give me another chance. And she's like, she starts to talk, like, and he's like, if you do, I promise, I'm never going to walk away from you again. And she's looking up at him, and he's looking down at her. It's like, okay. That armor you had, yeah, it's on the floor. I'm sorry. It melted.
Yep.
It's gone.
It no longer exists.
He's like, I promise you. She's looking up at him like, oh my God, I want to believe him. I really, really do. And she kisses him. Which is basically like, okay, I give up.
Yeah.
I give up. I can't
resist you anymore.
Right?
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, they can't resist. And then he picks her up and puts her on the counter. And then she takes his jacket off.
Yeah, it's a makeout session.
Oh,
now.
Yeah. Well, you know.
And this
there
is
goes her shirt.
Yeah, this is makeup sex, as you.
Yeah, this was like, I know I needed to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, There you go.
Yep.
Goodness.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
So,
now we're back at Tara's place and they're having
mhm.
dinner and she's, oh, that smells good. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry that dinner's a little late. The enchiladas took a little bit longer. And is anything I can do to help? And she goes, well, if you could finish setting the table and I'll go wake up mom. Silverware and everything, great. So Tara's going to go in and she's going to wake up Lily. And she's like, hey, mom, wake up. Mom. And she shakes her. Nothing.
Mhm.
And she's like, mom.
And she looks so content.
And she's shaking her and nothing's happening. And she yells for Doc. Thank God Doc was there.
Mhm.
Seriously. She
Yeah.
goes, she's not waking up. And there's like really sad music.
Mm.
And she's like, oh my God. And Doc touches her face and he's like, should we call an ambulance? And Doc goes over to her and goes, honey, she's gone. And she was like, no, no. And she's crying. She's like, mom. Thank God Doc was there.
Yeah.
I mean, she goes, mom, I need you.
Aw.
But at least she went in her sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, she's sobbing and she's like, open your eyes. And she touches her face and she says to Doc, Doc, she's cold. And Doc's like, her blood stopped circulating.
Oh, Tara.
Yeah.
This scene was so hard to take.
I
I'm telling
know. And she was like, I don't understand. She was having the best day. And Doc's like, I know. Because, you know, he's like, I'm so sorry. Remember they rode horses. And she goes, we were supposed to have more time. And Doc's like, I know. He goes, I thought we would have more time.
Just a hard scene.
Yeah, that was really hard.
That was a hard scene. And this is where one of our titles come into play.
Yep.
Life and death.
Life and death. You know, Mel's trying to create new life.
Mm-hmm.
And Lily's passing.
Yeah. And that's where we end it, folks.
That's where we end it. And Hope did not make it back.
Nope. And you know Hope is going to be as mad as a...
Yeah.
You know what? She finds out.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to not go over easy.
Yep.
Anyway.
So, yep. That was a sad end. That's a sad ending.
It's a very sad ending.
Yeah.
You know, because Lily is a very integral part of everybody's life in that town. You know, of people we know in that town so far.
Yeah. But like Tara said, she had a really good day. All of her friends were there all afternoon.
Right.
You know, she had just spent time with everyone.
Yeah.
She was feeling really good. So, I mean, if it was going to happen, the timing.
Yeah.
At least it was quick.
Yeah. Anyway, folks.
All right. Well, let's hope we have some more pleasant, happier things happening later. I mean, the next one's a little rough.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, the next one's a little rough. I mean, nobody's having a good time right now. Everybody's got a little bit of strife.
Yes,
there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of upheaval. There's a lot of heartache.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, let's get together again and we'll continue.
Okay. Bye. All right.
Have a lovely day. Thanks. Bye-bye.